wait. But it is worthy every second to wait and make a contribution to this very important proposal that is before the House. It's a constitutional amendment proposal, and we know the threshold. And that is why everybody is saying we just not need to talk here, we just not need to support, but we must appear on the crucial days and do what will be required of us. This constitutional amendment, we attribute it and credit the two members of parliament, the Honorable Gitonga Murugaara of Gishogo and the Honorable Stephen Mule of Matungulu. I think kudos to these two MPs for actually putting on paper what every MP is actually thinking about. Therefore, you have our support, and what we urge you to do is to ensure the office of the Speaker moves quickly so that we have sufficient public participation. We have a draft bill that is going to be brought to the House for readings, and eventually, if we are lucky, we pass it. That way, we will entrench these funds in the Constitution, and the courts, which are always bent on declaring whatever we do, especially as regards the CDF and constitutional, will have nothing to complain about. As we debate today, let's pay tribute to those who invented CDF. The Honorable Muriuki Karue of Okalau, as he was those years, Mwangi Githiomi of Kipipiri, and the others who were here. What they started as an experiment actually has become one of the most noble things this country has done for the poor man. To start with, CDF is actually for the poor, absolutely. Those who are not able to build schools, those who are not able to pay school fees, administrators who have no offices, etc., etc. Therefore, weighing on what we have done with the CDF, it behoves on every member of parliament to support it. When it comes to the GAF, which is for the women representatives in this house, this is also for the poor because it is an affirmative action fund for those that are marginalized, for those that are poor, including women, youth, people with disability, and the others. The Senate Oversight Fund is actually merited in that senators have no fund to draw from when they are actually doing their oversight. It will be debated when the time comes whether they are going to get this from the revenue of the national government or it's going to be from the share of the county allocation, depending on how much it is and what they are to get. The other fund, which is for economic empowerment of the less privileged, the hustlers down at the bottom, is also a very important fund. We, as Parliament, must guard against somebody going to court to say that fund is also unconstitutional. And this is why this merited proposal is before us. And for sure, we believe one day it's going to become a bill and we shall be able to debate it in this house as required. It's important to note that what we have today is a proposal. After that, it's going to become a constitutional amendment bill. And if it passes, it will have its position in the Constitution as various articles. Thereafter, this House will have to go into legislation so that we are able to harmonize the CDF with its own Act of Parliament, the Act of 2015, which Act is still in force. It has not been annulled, although there are threats to annul it too. We will also have another Act of Parliament for the Senate Fund, Oversight Fund, which is going to have provisions. We will also have another Act of Parliament in respect of the National Government Affirmative Fund, and also another Act of Parliament in respect of the Economic Empowerment Fund. And thereunder, I'm sure we will have regulations which will make sure that all these funds are actually applied in accordance with the Constitution, the Act of Parliament, and those regulations that we are going to pass. Therefore, members of Parliament, it's vitally important that we actually debate soberly this particular proposal, and eventually let us stand up in our numbers and pass the constitutional amendment bill once it is brought to the House. With those remarks, I beg to support this proposal.
Thank you so much, Senior Murugaara.